We are facing an unprecedented state of emergency. The immigration system in this nation is broken. It has been broken for decades. Today, New York City has been left to pick up the pieces. Since last year, nearly 100,000 asylum seekers have arrived in our city asking for shelter. We're also asking the federal government to declare a state of emergency. If we don't get the support we need, New Yorkers could be left with a $12 billion bill.
Welcome, folks. And isn't it funny how every time these virtue signaling wannabe heroes has to actually pay up for the very thing that they try to virtue signal for, they always come up short. They always come up short. They always talk of such a good game, and when it finally happens and they finally have to actually pay the bill, they complain and then now just want everybody else to pay for it, because New York City Mayor Eric Adams is just losing his stuff right now because they are in the hole for a gargantuan amount that unfortunately the taxpayers are going to have to foot the bill for. So let's jump into this. From the Daily Mail, New York City Mayor Eric Adams says migrant crisis could cost the city $12 billion as more are bused to the Roosevelt Hotel from Texas as he calls on Biden to declare state of emergency. Oh, now it's a problem. Now it's a problem. Now that we can't afford it, we can't pay for it. Now it's an issue and we need help. Now that we've ran off everybody, not to mention all the rich people, we've destroyed our city, and now everyone else left is just going to have to deal with the mess that we made. So New York City Mayor Eric Adams says the city will spend $12 billion by 2025 to provide housing and services for the flood of migrants arriving in the cities by buses as the city scrambles to provide shelter. We are facing an unprecedented state of emergency, Adams declared, again demanding the feds provide more support. The immigration system in this country is broken. It has been broken for decades. That I disagree with. I would say really about the time that Trump got into office is when all this started to pick up and go crazy. And he was the only thing that stifled it. And now they're like, yeah, just let everybody in. Today, New York City has been left to pick up the pieces, Adams said, from the very mess that they virtue signaled for. Don't forget. The Democratic mayor has been slammed for his lack of response to the migrant crisis currently afflicting New York City, as he has continued to blame the lack of federal support. Adams says the city spends more than $9 million per day to house, feed, and support the asylum seekers. I wonder how much they spend to do all of that on our own homeless people, or our own homeless Americans in New York. I wonder who gets more. Even more are arriving weekly, with buses seen arriving Wednesday morning at the Roosevelt Hotel to drop off more migrants for processing. The hotel had become the hotbed of the migrant crisis in the United States last week, when hundreds were forced to sleep on the sidewalk in the brutal heat as they awaited processing. I mean, so many people are just suffering from this. It's so sad. It's so absolutely sad. City officials had previously estimated the city would spend about $4.3 billion by the end of the 2024 fiscal year in July on housing, feeding, and providing services to migrant families. Since then, however, the number of migrants coming into the city has skyrocketed, and city officials are now spending an average of $9.8 million each day, or more than $300 million per month. That could take care of a lot of homeless Americans. But now we're doing it for people who have no loyalty to this country. By July 2024, the city is now expected to spend as much as $6.1 billion. New Yorkers' compassion may be limitless, but our resources are not. Well, first of all, no one's compassion is limitless. Like, again, that little mantra right there. Just shut up and knock it off. You just look stupid at this point. But our resources are not. Well, yeah, especially when you ran off all of the rich people paying the majority of the taxes. Adams said Wednesday, and our partners at the state and federal levels know this. There are already more than 57,000 migrants sleeping in city shelters and emergency housing systems, and more were seen bust into the city on Wednesday. It is believed that 6 buses arrived overnight, with the final bus dropping migrants off in front of the Roosevelt Hotel at around 6 a.m. as uniformed soldiers patrolled the area. By around 11 a.m., 8 city officials, including several from the Emergency Management Department, arrived on the scene. They spent about 45 minutes inside the building but declined to comment as they left. Their visit came amid a steady stream of migrants to and from the hotel on Wednesday morning. Several groups had babies, toddlers, and young children with them. I mean, so many families are just broken up, just trying to make the trek. It's just horrible. Over the past few months, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has bused nearly 10,000 migrants into the Big Apple. One of those migrants, a Colombian named Luis, told Daily Mail on Wednesday how he and his family have spent a month at New York's Roosevelt Hotel after making a grueling journey across several borders, including through Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Mexico. Their journey included an 8-day trek through the jungle, said Luis, who spoke little English. New York is bound by a decades-old consent decree and a class action lawsuit to provide shelter for those without homes. Now, I've never heard of this, but no wonder they're going to New York, because their own laws, I guess, forces them to do this, so they don't have a choice. The city is scheduled to open a shelter on soccer fields on Randall's Island and a relief center at the former Creedmoor Psychiatric Center in Queens, both of which would reportedly be state-funded. So more taxpayers are going to have to pay for this. And on Friday, workers were seen unloading items from trucks to retrofit the Play Center at McCarran Park, Brooklyn, which sits between the ultra-expensive Greenpoint and Williamsburg neighborhoods. I'm sure they're going to enjoy that. Migrants will now live in temporary housing in the park's recreation center, which is popular with residents of the affluent and uber-liberal Williamsburg neighborhood thanks to its swimming pool and gym. The facilities in the recreation center will not be impacted by the new residents, local representatives said in a joint statement. Now that is just a load of bull. I mean, of course it's going to be affected. If you go and look at what's going on in Chicago, people are freaking out about what's going on in migrant shelters because, I mean, these people are just homeless. They got nothing. Crime is going to spree up from it. There's no other way. It has also been revealed that city officials were considering housing migrants in tents at Central Park. The proposed migrant plan, first reported by The Gothamist, also considers 3,000 other locations in New York, including tourist public green spaces, as places to erect emergency housing for the crushing influx of migrants. Hey, you wanted to be a sanctuary city? Be the sanctuary. In response to The Gothamist report, Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services Ann Williams said everything is on the table. Well, yeah, your own laws forces you to do this, so yeah, everything has to be on the table. Williams said she believes people are coming from other U.S. cities such as Denver and Chicago when doors were closed there. New York City, in comparison, has opened a total of 197 sites across the city to help with the issue. I mean, it's so bad. It's so bad. And the majority of these people coming across the border, there's actually a video RFK Jr. did recently where he was down there and talked to them and said these people are coming from 117 countries and the majority of them are over in Asia. Like, it's not what you think it is. New Yorkers did not create an international crisis, but New Yorkers have left to deal with the crisis almost entirely on our own. Hey, you wanted it? It's all yours, Adams said, as he seemed to shift the blame on Republican lawmakers. Really, that's funny. It has been fueled by those in Congress who stand in the way of real immigration reforms, by governors who have used vulnerable asylum seekers as their political pawns, and the indifference of leaders across the nation. Now, this quotation is hilarious to me because it's just projecting. Like, you are all of the things that you're saying in this. It has been fueled by those in Congress who stand in the way of real immigration reforms. It's the White House led by Democrats who want open borders, who don't want walls. That's your version of immigration reform. Just let everybody in. That's what you want. That's not what everybody else wants. So no, that's you. And by governors who have used vulnerable asylum seekers as their political pawns. No, that's what you did for years when you virtue signaled and you claimed, oh, we're so much better and we're so much this, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, when it comes to actually pay the bill and help, you're just screaming for help from the very thing that you created for yourself. I mean, you made this giant pile of mud and then you willingly step in it and then you complain about it. It's just asininely incompetent. And the indifference of leaders across the nation. Look, there's only one side that absolutely will not talk on any level-headed, conceivable level, and that's the left, because they have gone so far to the left that they're just insane. So they're not perfect on the right, mind you, but these two are not even remotely comparable. He asked for more funding from state officials and said the federal government should implement a decompression strategy at the border and ensure that other cities take their share of arrivals. Well, why? Why should they do that? They didn't vote. They didn't, virtue signal and say they were sanctuary cities. Maybe they would actually support having a wall or a border, a secure border. So that way, this issue wouldn't even exist to begin with in the first place. But now you say, oh, they should share the burden. Why? They didn't vote for this. You guys did. The Biden administration has already provided about $100 million to New York City to handle the crisis. Another $138 million was previously given to New York City to support the influx of migrants. So already they're in the hole. They can't pay for it on their own. And now they're taking money from taxpayers from other places because they simply can't afford it. They can't afford all of this of their own making. They supported this. They wanted open borders. They wanted blah, oh, we're so much better. We take all the immigrants. And then that happens. And then now all of a sudden, it's a humanitarian crisis and a state of emergency. Folks, this is what you get from sellout politicians who will simply say anything to get the vote, but has no actual spine or real authentic meaning behind it to support it, or even bother to think it through. Why? Because, hey, it's 2,000 miles away. It's never going to affect us. It's free. It doesn't cost us anything to act so good and so better than everybody else. And now you're screwed. Well, that's what you get with idiot leaders. But hey, folks, all I can say is just another reason not to go to New York, not to go to a blue state, not to go to woke areas, because they're literally going to shoot themselves in the foot and you are going to pay for it. So, folks, with that said, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe. I appreciate the support. I will try to bring some new stuff as soon as I can. With that said, take care of yourselves and families, and I'll see you next time.